Welcome back. Sorry for the delay. I have been having some technical difficulties with recording these. My video recorder's been acting up very strangely, which it did right in the middle of making this video, so this is a splice together of a couple of playthroughs, just because the way the video recorder works, I don't know, it acted up until
This shop is but a mask, concealing the face of the Tremere in their lair.
In this one, and as I've said before, I don't mind so much talking over the dialogue in this one since it's all subtitled. I missed a little bit of what goes between these, I believe.
What wonders are these?
Again, with the video recording issues, I didn't realize it until I was way past that point. Now, I couldn't go back because I didn't have a close enough save. So there's a little bit of dialogue and character, I believe, between... Actually, now I'm thinking about it, that might have actually been even further back than I'm thinking. But either way, this one we also have the issue at the end of, on the third attempt to play through this to record it, when I got to the very end, the final stage, all of the expository dialogue and everything with the boss character at the end of this, you'll notice it didn't record the audio. And after the third attempt to get past that point with it actually recording, I just said the hell with it since it's subtitled. So I will get to do a little bit of dinner theater level voice acting for you with that. But yeah, I was not going to go do it again. By that point, it's taken me several days of playing, recording, editing, trying to get things together, splice things together. The final one I had, supposedly recorded it, but it was so badly corrupted I couldn't use it, so I had to pick up where I'd left off, play the entire thing again, just for the final ending, and then when I got to the ending, it decided, for some reason, when it loaded in at the spawn point for that level, that, oh, this is a good place to stop recording audio. So it did. So when we get to that point, you will notice that the characters are dressed and equipped a little bit differently than they are when they get to the end of the previous stage of the level. So it's what it is. I just have to deal with it. Going forward, I think I kind of figured out what part of the problem was, so I might be able to avoid it happening again, but for now, I'm just stuck with it. So in this one, as you saw, I believe it's at the beginning of this or the end of the previous one. I'm still in the process of editing this, so if it's supposed to be in the beginning of this and I just haven't put it in yet, that could be throwing me off too, trying to remember things. Prince Brandel gave us permission to go in and raid the Tremere Chantry here because he knows that the Tremere are connected to what is going on with the disappearances of both humans and Cainites in Prague. Even though the clan has an alliance with the Tremere, he basically, in his wonderful largesse, decides to give us permission to go do something about this. So we do. And as you see here, the biggest pain in the ass with this level, it is not the Tremere and their lure of flame, or some of them having blood magic and the ability to drain your blood from a distance and all this shit. No, it's those motherfucking little hoppers they constantly spawn that just stand there in front of you, between them, you and them, and don't let you get in there and freaking attack them. So you stand there swinging, and clipping everywhere, trying to get around them before they finally die. They are nothing but a freaking annoyance, but every frickin' Tremere in here just spawns them constantly. This is one that, after this point in the game, wouldn't so much be an issue because one of the powers you're able to pick up during the course of this is thaumaturgy blood magic, which means after this, I will, once I spend the XP at least, will have the ability to drain blood from people from a distance, which severely limits the amount of annoying ass disciplines you run into if they don't have any blood to fuel them. Most of the time, if I don't even need the blood, I'm just taking it so they can't use it. You see, too, these little summoning circles, I guess they're supposed to be on the floor that you walk up to, and either things come out of them, or, you know, there's all of these hoppers. bloodstones and blood pearls and all these other things that come out of them. That is pretty much a random, just like the chests in this level. The reason I say at the end that you'll see I'm dressed and equipped differently is I got completely different things out of the chests on this playthrough than I got on the previous playthrough that is 90% of this saved video. So, you know, when I get into the final one, Kristoff is not wearing his chainmail, and another character, which I won't spoil if you don't know the game that we're going to run into, is completely dressed and armed differently going into that than he is coming out of the previous level. But again, I just wanted to get through and get the story. If it was one where you just went in and fought, I wouldn't worry about it, but all the dialogue and everything was kind of necessary going forward, because it explains why the game goes where it goes after this, why we're doing all of that stuff. You also get that really, really annoying where the Tremere do what the Cappadocians did, where when they get wounded, they just kind of aimlessly wander, and they move fast enough that you can't get in there and frickin' melee hit them until you catch them in a corner or something. That's what the game is. Okay, so all of them are we're all getting a little bit injured. I'm a little low on blood, so. Also, apologies if my microphone is picking up background outside sounds here. I'm sitting here having a smoke. It's Thanksgiving, and I got nowhere to go and no one to really spend it with, so I'm just sitting here doing this and having a smoke with the window open, and everything in my neighborhood has decided today's a good day to make noise, and from the cars to the crows to everything else, so might be picking up background noise. I'm trying to have it set lower to where it doesn't pick up the ambient noise as much, but we'll see what happens. I actually go back and grab that Spirit's Touch because it dawns on me afterwards. That's actually a handy one to have and not an ability that I have on my own, so. You come across a lot of weird things, and Spirit's Touch lets you identify what they are, so. Like Unknown Vitae. And again, there are, as I established in the Cappadocian one, there are more vampires in this Chantry haven, or whatever you want to call it, than there should realistically exist total in this entire city, but video game. Oh boy, 1 whole gold. I find it funny the hoppers that are summoned from the nether realm drop more gold than the well-dressed wizards that summon them. From the beginning, I've always found it weird that the elementals are the same visual model as the Golem, kind of takes away from that a little bit. I think the elementals would look a little more just a pile of rock. They could have made them water elementals or something else, or even if they were, you know, they're earth elementals, they could have just made them look a little more visually distinct. I don't know. It's not really useful. That is. I'm tired of him taking so long to swing that fucking halberd, so time to re-equip him.
Mortal. Serena.
You'll also notice the hoppers that they summon once the one that summons them is killed. they kind of disappear. Ones that are already in the thing are not, and they will continue to chase you until you kill them. So, like, just for fun one time, I think it was years ago, I sped run through this and just, you know, ran into the rooms and ran out just to see how many things I could have chasing me by the time I got to the end of this part of the level before, you know, you go through the door into the next level and it restarts and you lose everything. And I think I had like 50 hoppers following me, which was infuriating and hilarious at the same time, which is weird, but it was. Because listening to them do those stupid little monkey calls all the time. And you can only hit one at a time, which also really sucks. Like, you're swinging a giant axe against something the size of a fucking chihuahua. You'd think it would do more damage to more than one of them than it did like that. You're swinging a sword and a halberd and all this other shit. You'd think that, you know, you'd hit more than one thing at a time. But nope, if it's not what you're aiming at and you don't roll high enough on the dice roll, quote unquote, you don't hit anything and you don't hit more than one thing at a time. Video game logic. That ivory bow I'm hanging on to because that is a good thing to equip Serena with. She's a good one to equip with ranged stuff. I just haven't had anything good to equip her with to this point. That thing does aggravated damage, which makes it very useful against vampires and undead things, and werewolves and things like that, but you don't really run into those in this game with one exception. You also notice there's a lot of stuff I'm not picking up. I'm not cluttering up my pockets with useless junk this time. I've got more than enough money in my pocket. I don't need to fill up my pockets with stuff to sell. More than afford things. If it's something that looks like it will be useful, or something that is might at some point be worth swapping out for somebody else's weapon for something, then yeah, I will, especially if it's armor or something. But as far as all the little, like, daggers and all that shit, I'm not bothering picking that shit up. I also have a playthrough of this where for some reason at this door, those 4 wizards absolutely killed all 3 of us with absolutely no effort. And this time you saw how quickly we killed them, but whatever. We got another halberd. Not bothering to pick that up. I just run away from them. That's actually handy when they start feeding on somebody. It makes them very easy to kill. Yeah, I just unequipped one from somebody. I'm not picking up another one. Holy water. Kind of worth having. Another freaking hopper. Yeah, I find this is one of the many, many games you play that I find it hilarious the way things drop things. Because, as I say, the hoppers are dropping, you know, rings and 40-something gold and all this other stuff. Then you kill, you know, a powerful wizard that summoned it from the Dark Realms and all this shit. And he drops 3 gold. It's so freaking weird. However, me being me, if it's the like gems and emeralds and things, I do pick those up because those are worth a lot more than, you know, their little one thing that they take up in your inventory would make it seem. So they are worth picking up to sell unless you've got no room for them. But things like them and rings and things like that are worth a surprising amount of gold. Not like a ridiculous, but for something as small as they are, they're worth picking up and selling. Boy, a rusty axe in this stage, that's just what I need. See, you dropped a gold. He just trying to clip through shit. Bullshit. I'll go over in a minute and see what that wizard dropped. Okay, so Hopper dropped a gold ring. That's not what the wizard dropped. Oh my god, will you frickin' die? God, I hate those things. 22 gold. 2 gold. Bastard sword's a good weapon, but it's a two-handed weapon, so in the long run, it's really not much more useful than that halberd was, unless you've got a really strong character that can do a lot of damage with it. I wasn't sure if that upped your intelligence or anything, so I decided to give it to him and see what happened. I know it doesn't hurt you to use it, I just don't remember if it actually does anything. I think I also put that Berserker Axe, or whatever it is, in the inventory, or the storage back at the cave. Because it is a good weapon, it's just the drawbacks of it are a little bit of a pain in the ass, so I don't really use it all that much. I don't know if you have the microphone pick that up. That's one of the things that bugs me about living in an apartment building. Like, I have no problem with people other languages and all that and everything. People where I work, we have people that don't speak English tenants. It's what it is. People come from all over the place. But nobody else in the fucking apartment building wants to hear your conversation. You don't need to shout it back and forth across the parking lot. You came out of the same goddamn apartment. Finish it before you come out. You're literally walking from the apartment to your car. You don't need to have a shouted conversation on the way. But then I'm also one of those people who, even living in a two-story apartment with neighbors to either side of me, not above or below me, I try to stay very quiet because I don't want to be that guy that annoys all the neighbors with noise. If you're working on something and can't help it is one thing, but like I'm constantly yelling at my kids, you don't need to stomp and run and up and down the stairs and everything all the time. Just walk quietly. Try to be considerate of other people, even if it's something as simple as taking your boots off walking across a hardwood floor when you live in the second story of a two-story apartment complex. Here we go, and I now have blood magic. That scroll is useless. I don't even know why the hell you pick it up. There's nothing on it. You can't do anything with it. That armor is not useless. However, I have everybody at or above that level of armor right now, so there's no point picking that up and wasting the inventory space. Same with, like, a rusty dagger. This is pretty much the end of the major play here in Prague. You come back for the end of the medieval thing, but the major storyline moves on to somewhere else after this. So at the end of this stage, we're going to be moving on to a new, more challenging, more interesting place. And if I remember right, in this room, you pick up something that gives you the first clue.
To the abyss with me! To the abyss with me!
See, I love this too. This is one of those, again, gameplay. I know how it is. Triggers, it doesn't, what you've done up to the point you hit the trigger really doesn't affect what goes on with the trigger and all that. But these three of us, including, the one who looks like a walking corpse in a Morticia dress, walk into this room, kill 3 wizards that are throwing fireballs and summoning monsters at us, including medieval Morticia grabbing onto one of them and drinking his blood. And these humans standing in the cage are completely nonplussed by this fact, as you will see in a minute. Which is
Shipping
hilarious
manifest for the October slave shipment. To be shipped, 7 mortal slaves and 3 Canaanite prisoners. The Ventru caravan master Count Orsi shall ship the slaves to the House de Hexi in Vienna.
There you go. That's where we're going next, is Vienna. No sausages to be found, unfortunately. So yeah, watch this. After everything that just happened in this room.
We have found prisoners.
Thou art free of thy bondage by the power of the Prometheus.
Also, you can tell the Masquerade is
Thanks upon thanks to thee for releasing us. Ye have saved us surely. Blessings upon ye, stranger.
Yeah, thank you for saving us. Blessings upon you, stranger. Not, oh my god, these 3 monsters just came in and ripped apart a bunch of other monsters that were summoning more monsters. Like, what? They shouldn't have been losing their damn minds. God, will you die? It was clipping through walls. Brilliant. And he didn't even drop anything. Okay, so this one is one that's kind of useful to have interesting, but at the same time, it's a pain in the ass to have. So, I'll explain it in a minute when I think I've managed to identify it a little bit. When I identify what it is, I'll explain it. Man, they've got a lot of random bottles of blood spread around this wizard's haven. That don't need. Not that Awaken's a useless thing to have, but Kristoff's got it as an ability maxed out, so... Far more likely the other ones are going to die before he does. Really Next time we get into the inventory, I'm going to look and see how much money I've got, because man, we pick up a lot through the course of this. That's useless for us.
To the abyss with thee!
Where we were already in this room. Yeah, that giant mace was hidden inside that barrel. Okay. Is there something I'm missing here? Where the hell? Is there another room exit or something? This is one of those times where I got turned around in the game and lost track of where the hell I was supposed to go. There we go. It's right down there. Alright, that's why it seemed weird. Did it again. Having these exits and entrances right next to each other in this game, especially when nothing pops up to tell you what it is very confusing sometimes. And just for the hell of it to get it out of my inventory, let's use this again. Good move. Ah, there we go. Now we're getting into our interesting extra character. So happy we don't really run into these after this. I think a little bit in the House to Hexa we might when we get to that, but I don't remember them being this bad in that level. I could be wrong. Because it's been a long time since I played that far into the game. It's been even longer since I played into the modern era of the game, so that's going to be a little bit rusty getting into it. I'm trying to figure out where it is I triggered with him, and it's after we kill the gargoyle. Not much of a guardian if it's this far down in the thing.
Hold. What manner of Cainite have they imprisoned here? He seems more animal than man.
Thou hast saved Eric of Clan Gangrel. According to the ancient Cainite law, I owe thee a life boon. I shall accompany thee and protect
Eric
thee
is a really
until
cool
such
character.
time
I'm
as I
sad that we
discharge
don't have
my
him for
duty.
longer.
Thou
It would have been
speaks with honor.
cooler
Thy
to have for the
providential attack did
rest of the
interrupt the
game.
wicked sorcerer
I mean, I
Ardan,
understand
as
narratively
he
why he's
began a
introduced here in
conjuration
Knowing
to
War, which
twist
I'll get
me
into
a
in a bit
mindless
later
gargoyle.
on.
At the sound of thy coming, the Tremere snake slithered into the chambers
Because
below.
the reason he's here comes back up
I
in the
am
plot
thine to
later.
command.
So, and by later, I mean a later stage of the game. So I'm not really get into it now. I'll wait until it's a little more relevant.
Thou mayst tear the warlock's heart from his chest only after I have pried truthful answers from his mouth. Now let us go.
And this is why I was picking up, knowing he was coming, this is why I was picking up some armor and weaponry along the way. I don't think he can use that. Okay, maximum of 40 humanity, minimum of 55 strength. I don't think he can use that. I think he's too high humanity. So we'll put him a little bit of studded leather armor, and I think I end up giving him, yeah, he can't use that. I couldn't remember for sure. So I end up giving him the, what do you call it, Warhammer, but I swapped that out later on, because it's not a bad weapon, it's just not the most useful thing he could be carrying for his character. With his strength, it's good, but it's a bashing weapon, which really doesn't do a lot against things like vampires. So, kind of odd for him to have. But I mean, with the character, it makes sense. But in game, with usability-wise, the Warhammer's kind of odd. As you'll see, it's very slow to use. When he does hit, if it's anything alive, it does a lot of damage. But it's against vampires, don't really take much in the way of bashing damage, so kind of wasted on Cainites. Okay, so this is where the audio went out. My apologies for that weird glitch. I thought I had spliced out the partial bit of the audio that was there. I did not. So, yeah, he introduces himself, he knows, and all that, he yada yada. This guy is, like, no joke, I'm gonna read these lines real quick the way he would. Welcome, Christoph Romuald. Ah, yes, an intriguing woman came unto me. A nun she was, and she was my first nun. Yeah, he's like that. That is, she was the first nun who ever came seeking me. Yeah, he's as stereotypical creepy Eastern vampire as you can get. Some of the things that he says, the phraseology he uses, I'll point out one specifically, makes me think he is supposed to be Turk or Ottoman or whatever it would be in this time. But at the same time, he is Tremere, and they are so strongly bound to their clan, especially here in the medieval period, that if they want to have any sort of long existence on life, they will very much do what they are told and further the clan's aims. God help them if they're caught doing anything other than what the clan wants them to do. So, yeah. You see how long it's taking him to read these lines. He's very talkative, but talks very slowly. Which and also is funny because at the end of it he says, I've stalled you long enough to give me power to finish the summoning, the spell that I was working on. And he doesn't seem to have any spell that he brought up. I have no idea what the hell that's for, if they just thought that was a good reasoning to have why he talked so much. There, you see there, he says, couldst thou see that beneath the shapeless folds of her robe, that she possessed a body as achingly beautiful as any odalisk? An odalisk is a word for, like one of the lead, very skilled harem girls of a Ottoman sultan, which it might actually be anachronistic for this time period. It might be a later term, but that's one of the things, and that and the way he talks and the way he's dressed leads me to believe he's supposed to be an Ottoman Muslim sorcerer who is in Clan Tremere. Because as it mentions, the Clan Tremere is a group of mortal mages and magicians who found a way to become vampires, and then realized that when they did, that lost them all of their magical ability. So they developed a way to use the blood of a vampire as a route for a different type of magic. What you see the word thaumaturgy, blood magic. That is what they use. It's magic, but it's not the kind of magic an actual mortal mage would be using. To mages, the Tremere are abominations. They hate them. They fight them whenever they get the chance. Whereas to the Tremere, they see themselves as mages who found a way to become immortal. It just had side effects. Yeah, which, different perspectives of the same thing, I guess. Bonus points to Kristoff, by the way, for this guy admitting that the Tremere wouldn't let him embrace her. He knew that, so he sent her off to the Tzimisce, knowing that they would kill her. And he actually says something rather than snap and rip him apart. No, good on him for self-control on that one. I would have just killed him. So he mentions here that her faith in purity, which purity is a weird thing. I don't really think that's outside of this game is a thing that vampires have a problem with. But faith, yes, is an issue. And he mentions here one of their revenant ghouls, while cowering, told her about Golconda, which Golconda is a thing that the vampire lore borrows from Eastern mythology and religion. In this setting, in this usage, it is the basically mythical ability of a vampire to overcome his weakness and quote-unquote regain his soul, even though vampires don't really lose their souls, but to become mortal again. You overcome your weaknesses and everything else and overpower the curse and can reclaim your mortality, which it's never really, it is alluded to that it is a real thing. There are mentions of characters who have supposedly achieved it, but it's never really stated outright in the lore. Yes, it is what the thing says is actually what it is, and this is something you can do and this is how you do it. It's just kind of like this breadcrumb for characters that want something to strive for, to be, become mortal again, or at least to shed their curse, to to dangle before them. So it is and isn't a real thing, if you know what I mean. The way a lot of things in dark mythology games tend to be. It is and isn't real. Whereas in the characters believe it is, or at least that it is a possible thing, and the game setting states that it is potentially a real thing, but it's never really established 100% unequivocally that it is a real thing. So, and now we get into this wonderful long dialogue with her. She is very long-winded in this. Very, very long-winded. And I love the voice actor that did her. I was very happy she pops up. If you've played Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, the more current, more recent one that's set all in modern Los Angeles, if you recognize her voice in my playthrough of this when she's been in before, if it sounds familiar to you, it's the same voice actress that does Pisha, the Nagaraja that you run into in that game. Same voice actress doing the same voice with the same kind of delivery. Also, I think I looked away from the computer for a minute doing something. It takes me a minute to click there. Sorry about that. I did try to not instantly click things to give you a chance to read what his options were, but he goes with his self-righteous moral whining. Because, that's his character. If you don't, I've done it before. I don't remember how it works out, but you do end up progressing with the story anyway, the same way. It's just this way with the character. I figured it made more sense to argue and debate with her than it does to submit to her and then have her let you go anyway, or whatever the hell happens. Thou art exalted. Thou art immortal. Thou art finally free. Yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, all he says is he throws her Promethean shit back at her, and she says, "Oh, you reason like a Greek sage." That is so stupid. I'm sorry. That's dumb. He literally just spouted back at her what she always says. Oh, you reason like a Greek sage. No, I'm throwing back at you what you always say. There's no sagely reasoning involved in that. And again, with the crap about Carthage being such a wonderful paradise, whatever. That, by the way, if you haven't looked at the timestamp, we are coming up on the end of this. After this debate, we basically move straight on to Vienna. So I skip over, like I go and unload my inventory and get better stuff for the characters and all that. I skip over that. You don't need to watch all that crap at the end of the video. So when we go into Vienna, they'll be dressed differently, equipped differently, and I also went through and spent some of their XP and leveled up their abilities and stuff. So make it a little bit more. Of course, having said that, I don't remember what I run into in Vienna, because obviously you're going to a completely different blacksmith and completely different magic shop and everything else. So I might have spent money to upgrade them to things that I will then immediately be replacing with better things I can find in Vienna. But I was not positive. I didn't remember for sure, so I just went ahead and got it from Jiri before we left and unloaded all the scrolls and magical shit that I'd acquired on Unorna before we go. I was very tempted to go through and voice all these. I was actually, like, as I was going through this when it was muted in my head, I was like practicing reading the lines and all that, but I won't subject you to that. As much as I would like to get into voice acting and doing characters and stuff, I very much enjoy doing accents and things like that, but I'm not gonna do it. Especially considering, just for the sake of continuity, I would have to try to do it like I was doing impressions of the characters rather than doing them the way I would do them. So, no, I'm not going there. If I had the free reign to do these characters the way I would voice them, then heck yeah. But I'm not going to do that. Not now. As goofy and stilted as it is, I will say when it moves into the modern era of this game, I do kind of miss the ridiculous way everybody talks in this part of the game. If you notice too, everybody's still dressed weirdly. After the Ardan's Chantry, there is no travel or anything to get here. It just teleports you straight into here. So you're in the state you ended the battle with Ardan with. So if I were to then go to the other playthrough that I had, if it had, if there was some kind of weird editing involved there, that's when you would see that that's how they're dressed. They're all dressed differently, weird again. So anyway, that's the end of that one. I will be back relatively quickly with the second one, barring running into more recording issues. I have a long weekend with it being Thanksgiving weekend, and other than a reenacting event that I'm going to Saturday night at the Revolutionary War Historic Site near me, where they do a holiday open house after Thanksgiving. Other than that, I really don't have much going on this weekend, so I will be able to play